Since its inception, the Ag Hall of Fame Committee has awarded over $60,000 to 22 youth organizations. Thank you for all that support. So also, please consider making a contribution tonight and hope to reach the $15,000 goal. I personally am going to donate $500 tonight, and I'm going to challenge Jeff Gordon also to contribute $500, and he's done a thumbs up, so we're 1/15 of the way there. Thank you, Jeff. So those pledge cards are important, QR code, and thanks for all your support. I also want to thank the Snake River 4-H Club contributors and the grant recipients as well. And the second Impact Award, ag-related professionals or farmers that are actively displaying exemplary community involvement and are enhancing agribusiness through leadership or technology development. Would you help me to welcome to the stage retired Congresswoman Kathy McMorris Rogers, who will tell us a little bit about the 2026 High Street Insurance Stewardship Award inductee, Mike Poulson.
All right, thank you. Good evening, everyone. It's great to be with you tonight, and I am really excited to introduce to you Mike Poulson. You know, bottom line, life is about relationships. And I had the honor of meeting a lot of people, a lot of good, hardworking, honest people of Eastern Washington during the years that I served in Congress. And tonight is just really special to be here with some of those people that I worked with. It's also very special to be with my former seatmate, Doc Hastings, who we fought many battles together for many, many years, and his wife, Claire. Yes, so my husband, Brian's here also, and he's reminded me it's about relationships. And tonight's one of those nights when I think about, well, and I have Sheila Stolp, who worked with me here, and her husband, Phil, and then Mike and his wife, Shan, they actually met working together with me. Serving the people of Eastern Washington. So I am really excited and thrilled to be able to introduce Mike Poulson to you as we celebrate his many, many contributions to agriculture through his years and induct him into the Mid-Columbia Agricultural Hall of Fame. When I think of Mike Poulson, I think of someone who is trusted, respected, loyal, optimistic, hardworking, caring, salt of the earth. He never would want to be up here on the stage. He was the guy who was behind the scenes, building relationships, getting things done, you know, and it was all set up by the time he got his, when it was ready to go. So he grew up on the farm. He is a lifetime farmer and advocate. He was actually a full-time farmer even while he was still in high school. He served as ASB president both in junior high and high school, largely because he wasn't afraid to speak out as to what he thought was right. And that was the leadership that he had his entire life. He's led on numerous organizations. He was vice president of the Washington State Farm Bureau, the Pacific Northwest Farm Forum. He was involved heavily with the Washington Policy Center. He worked on numerous issues. So he was, when I was newly elected to Congress, I went to him and asked if he would come work on my staff and work and travel Eastern Washington. And I was so thrilled when he said yes. And with that, it meant that he had already worked on a lot of these projects, but he continued his work on the expansion of the Columbia Basin Project, renewing the Columbia River Treaty, all the priorities in the Farm Bill, the A to Z project, which I imagine most of you in this area don't know the A to Z project. He named it and he got it done, but it became a national demonstration project for forestry management on the Colville National Forest. He's led on wheat research, WSU ag research, but when I think of Mike Poulson more than anything, I think of someone who has been so strategic to help us save our dams. So, and I know that is near and dear to all of our hearts. He always has the bumper sticker or the sign available if you happen to need it. So he's been through the ringer, he's a networker. He's logged hundreds of thousands of miles on his truck, going from community to community to make sure that agriculture and natural resources was well represented, and those priorities were always at the forefront, because that is our foundation, and it is our number one industry. So I am thrilled to be able to introduce to you tonight someone that has been a huge champion for agriculture. So please help me welcome Mike Poulson, and let us together thank him for his leadership, his tremendous positive impact, everything that he's done to help the farmers and natural resources of Eastern Washington. Thank you.
We had an 80-acre farm in California, and Dad had been wanting to get out of there for a long time. I think it was in my DNA, because from the time I was in the second grade, I can remember telling the second grade teacher that I was going to be a farmer, and it was never any question that I was going to be a farmer. I started early on recognizing that farmers had to be involved in public policy. In fact, many times I had said when I was speaking to a Farm Bureau group or something that you should have a line item for public policy. And I went around the country for probably 2 years carrying these books. I can't even hardly carry them now. When Kathy first asked me to go right after she was elected, I says, I can't live in DC. She says, well, what if you do it, if you want to do it from the district? And I told her right off, I says, I believe in being there, so I'm going to travel a lot. And the reality of it, I averaged 5,000 miles a month for almost 25 years, being nominated to Ag Hall of Fame. What it did was make me look back and see where I've been. And I very seldom do that. I've always been somebody that's looking to see what's next instead of what was last. And so over the last couple of weeks since I was told that I was going to be nominated, I've gone over the last 30 or 40 years, and you never do anything by yourself. It's the relationships you build and the coalitions you build and the people around those coalitions. And if you make an accomplishment, you can never take full credit for it, because there's somebody else that helped, or maybe somebody else that did it and you just happened to be along.
Love that video. I remember Mike over the years on the farm my father was at in north of town, and ran across him 2 or 3 times, and just it's great to see him being recognized. And here to present the 2026 High Street Insurance Stewardship Award is Danica Campos.
On behalf of High Street Insurance, we are proud to present the Impact Award to Mike Poulson this year.
Kathy was right. I'm a behind-the-scenes person, and I just came out. I've got 2 new knees in the last couple of months, and right now, I'm glad I don't have 3. I want to thank the Chamber and the Port for this honor. Thank Kathy for her wonderful introduction. Then I'll talk a little bit about what was on the video. There was a green pickup there, and the significance of that is it's in front of the Dusty store, and I just hit 500,000 miles on it. It's semi-retired now. It's got 525. But anyway, the significance of the miles is that I was a strong believer, and I had to be there. I had to see the people, drink coffee in their breakfast room, go to the coffee classes, and you can't do that on a computer screen. So that's why I had that many miles. The books that you saw me put it in the bag, that was part of the Interior Columbia Basin Ecosystem Management Project draft environmental impact statement. That's a mouthful. It was a plan of the federal government to manage Washington, Idaho, Oregon, part of Wyoming, and part of Montana as an ecosystem meaning that anytime you did anything in any place, it would affect the ecosystem, and so you had to take that into account when you were going through the regulatory process. The Farm Bureau came out against it, and I ended up being point on the Farm Bureau with that bag full of books. And I carried those all over the area and the country for more than a year. Senator Gordon had me bring that to his staff retreat. I was invited to DC to a coalition meeting and ended up getting support from a number of different organizations all around the country, as well as meeting people that are still good friends and I communicate with on a regular basis to this day. The project finally died, fortunately. Unfortunately, they kept all of the questionable science that was developed, and so that will come back to haunt us. I've been lucky. I've been able to do the things I wanted to do and put food on the table my whole life. The only exception is maybe the cattle business, and about the only thing I can say there is the best thing that happened is I didn't have to pay income tax. My background and my ability to work in public process and with legislators comes largely from teaching 2- and 3-year-olds in Sunday school for 13 years. I'm going to go back in history, and it was kind of a significant time in the Tri-City area when it finally became apparent that Hanford was not going to get the high-level nuclear waste repository. And so at the time, Governor Gardner decided we need to have an economic diversification committee here in the Tri-Cities. And so he went about appointing a committee that had people from the cities, people from the counties, county commissioners. I think there were some legislators involved. I know there was somebody from CBC, and I was a token farmer on that committee. Our goal was to say, where do we have a chance to go on? Where can we expand in the future economically? At the same time, Wally Hickerson was hired by the same program to do a paper identifying these things and doing these forecasts. And Wally asked me if I would do the agriculture part of that, which I did. And with the help of Des O'Rourke from WSU, we came up with some pretty good forecasts, and some of them have actually come to pass. That was also about the same time that TRIDEC was moving from what had been the Tri-Cities Nuclear Council, I believe, to a broad-based economic development organization. And Mike Schwank was the manager, and he hired Jim Toomey, or got Jim Toomey, hired Jim Toomey, contracted, I'm not sure, to do the non-agriculture part of that exploration of where can we go. And then he asked me to do the agriculture part. I think we worked on that for 6 months to try to put something together to give some example of this is where we need to go and this is where the time frame is. Also, not too long after that, Wally was contacted by the city of Pasco and said, between the Pasco and the port, we're thinking about a district north of the Tri-Cities along 395 for ag processors where we would supply the wastewater treatment. Do you think there's going to be any interest in that? And so one of the things we did, we went to Nally's in Tacoma and tried to interest them in moving over. And the staff was interested in doing that, but it's a farmer-controlled board, and the farmers didn't want their processing to move away from home, which I don't blame them. I'm going to end tonight with a quote from Dixie Lee Ray, who is one of the most intelligent and known for her scientific knowledge and her ability. Related to that quote was her attitude towards modeling, which I'm not going to repeat because it might be offensive to some. Dixie didn't have a very good bedside manner, and that's probably why I loved her so much. Quote Dixie, "People are arrogant if they think they can control the climate." Thank you. Now, if I can make it down from here without falling on my face, it'll be a good evening.